and I've been defending my opinion here. We'll be learning today in our usual practice, so just stay tuned and enjoy this episode. Good morning. So I'm here to see Mr. Alex. Oh, all right, thank you. He's actually based in Jos on a full-time basis, and he comes into Lagos when business demands. So this is the person we'll be talking to today, Alex Goma. And I look at him from afar. I know slightly a bit about him, but today we'll have to talk and learn, from this man. He's moved from one place to another over the years. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode today. All right, so first, let us get to even understand or have an insight to your person, Alex Goma. Alex Goma. If I'll talk about your career journey, I'll be picking it from Procter & Gamble, I'll touch BAT, then now we're at Grand Cereal. But before we go into all of that, Alex Goma, who is Alex Goma?
Alex Goma is just a Niger boy trying to make life better.
Niger boy?
Yes.
So you have to give me a description of that Niger boy, because we have, and I'll give you insight to what I want to pick from that. Your growing up days, you're a biochemist.
Yes.
What led to you studying biochemistry? What was childhood like? Lessons from childhood that you're still holding on to now that you can say characterize that person of Alex Goma?
Okay. First of all, my dad was in the military, so I grew up in the barracks, went to military primary.
So when you say boy, now I understand.
Yes. Grew up in the barracks, went to command children's school, went to command secondary school. Motto of my school is primary and secondary, they turned it aside. One was knowledge and discipline, the other was discipline and knowledge. So discipline has always been part of my growing up, because you have a bit of the regimentation that you get from the armed forces.
Yeah.
The barracks environment is multicultural.
Okay.
You live with people from different environments. So early on, I was never restricted to being somebody from one part. I was more of a Nigerian. That's why I use the term Niger boy. Grew up, had a lot of experiences doing things in the church. I was in the choir, I was in the boys' brigade growing up.
Okay.
Went to secondary school in Canada.
Okay.
Went to university.
So you're from which state?
I'm from Plateau State, which is surprising most.
Yeah, even for me.
Went to school in Port Harcourt. Why biochemistry? Why Port Harcourt? Port Harcourt because I had some friends who were from River State who lived around us in Kaduna.
Okay.
This guy is going to import wine. And biochemistry, funny enough, in those days we used to have these career programs, right, that was run. Where you talk about biochemistry, how you can work in industry, research and this. And that's how I got interested.
So would you say that you can't link the decision making to parents, apart from what you saw yourself, how you got inspired to take that up as a career line?
No, my parents, which is good from their own part, never tried to make me do anything. What my dad always did is, I will give you a good education. He will ask you why you were doing things and then give you a reason to think. When I was writing my WAEC and the first time I wrote JAM, I actually put dental surgery. First because I thought the name sounded exotic. There are not too many dental surgeons around. And I got invited for an interview by IFE because IFE was the only school that would accept someone below the age of 17.
Then.
And I left secondary school at 15 and a half. So
you left secondary school at 15?
Half, yes.
Double promotion along the line, or what happened?
I skipped a class in primary school, so I skipped from 5 to 1, and that's how it happened.
Interesting.
So
IFE invited you?
And the letter came 1 month after the interview. So I couldn't go, and then I remember going to see my dad in the military hospital. He was a captain. His friend was also a captain. Was asking, oh, why does your son want to do dental surgery? Why doesn't he do medicine?
Okay.
Do you have a problem with teeth in your village? And I rewrote German. I chose biochemistry, and the guy was still saying the same thing. And so my dad said, look, he has chosen what he wants to do, so let it be. Let him go.
And is that the same approach you take when it comes to your children?
Yes, I have never, so my kids, if I start a statement, they will complete it. There's a statement in our house, life is about choices. With the consequence of the choices you make, the consequences can be positive or negative.
So where did you pick that from?
I think growing up, I think it was part of the elements that came from my dad, and then through reading, you find out that fundamentally in life, you go through a lot of learning or education. What we call education today is actually to help you make the right choices. That's the purpose of knowledge. Is to give you the, if I use the words of Martin Luther, the ability to think critically and intensely. So if you don't understand or if you don't have data, think critically, how will you make some of the right choices? And I think some of the challenges people have today is they make choices based on emotion, they make choices based on what they see, they make choices based on what people have. I use a simple example like the case of Esau and Jacob.
Okay.
The guy was hungry, he had gotten home, right? We know that you can fast for 72 days, at least that's the record.
And you won't still die.
You can go without water for 16 days. If it was just hunger, if he drank water, he could have waited 6 more hours and they would have prepared a meal. But he sold his birthright because he was hungry. How many people today are selling their birthrights because they're not thinking about the consequences? They're not using the information or the knowledge they know to make decisions.
At some point, we're going to come back and try to apply these points to entrepreneuring, because the essence of this program, one of the very many reasons behind the setup of this program, is to help people to learn, be it that you're a career professional or you are an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. Learn, build a self-sustaining business. That is the main essence. Okay, so one major point I've picked now is that one very big gift your dad gave you revolves around the ability for you to make your own choice and be ready to face the consequence. So would you say that, looking back now, would you say that you have some regrets around being allowed to make your own choice each time? Was there any time that you feel like, okay, probably if I'd been able to get someone to tell me, do this, probably I would have gone that way?
I don't have regrets, so I don't live life with regrets. I say I take lessons, because you never know what the final destination is. Like I said, if I use the example of choosing dental surgery and applying to IFE, okay, it didn't happen. Right, so in the gap year, what did I do? I just went to Federal Government College, Kaduna, to say, okay, let me start A-level. But I wrote German, I left it halfway through. But in that particular period, I also met different people, still friends,
till today.
So sometimes when things happen, for me, I do a quick check and say, okay,
and just pick it up from there and move.
What mistake did I do and move on what I
see.
Well, so I don't, if I'm not one of those who says because you don't know what is lying in front. I missed out one of my first jobs. I worked for Leventis Group even before I joined P&G.
Oh, okay.
Right? The first interview I was invited for was a trainee plant manager with the Nigerian bottling company.
Okay.
Now, it didn't happen because I got the letter one day late. I still went, but the panel had left Kano. Wow. So I wrote back to the company, and then I was invited to come for an interview for stores, and I ended up in stores. Now, bottling company was seen as better, more lucrative than stores. But you know what, if I look at where I am today, and there's some people who went into Nigerian bottling company. So
I get, so I can link the dots now.
That's the point that
I can link the dot now.
What lies ahead. So if you spend so much time dwelling on the regrets of the past, you can
moving will be difficult. Viewers out there, So he just said something now. If you spend so much time dealing with the regrets of the past, movement becomes very, very tough. All right, so we are still with Alex Goma. We are spending a few hours with him today. He's a very, very busy man. But before we go into your career history, you look too serious. Like people tell me I also look serious, but you look too serious. Do you socialize? What do you do when you're not working?
I socialize a lot. I think I've had this comment from so many people because
you've heard it from so many people. Great.
So there's an intensity I carry with me when I'm doing something that is work or formal or professional. There's also an intensity that I carry with me when I'm playing. So if you see me where I'm goofy and they say this is this person, you will be...
Wow, you'll be dazed.
You'll be surprised. So what do I do when I'm not working? Always love football. So I still play football.
Yeah, it's almost like a pundit. I'm going to talk about that at some point.
I still play football up till today.
Oh, great.
So every Saturday I have a group of fellas that I've been playing with for quite a number of years. I play with basically 3 different football clubs. We have in Lagos called Bele United.
Okay.
We've been together for over 26 years.
Interesting.
We have Arsenal Nigeria. We've been together since 2000.
So you're an Arsenal fan?
Yes.
Interesting.
We have a Pro Leisure in Jos when I'm in Jos. That I joined when I moved back to Jos about 2 years ago.
So it means this is what you do religiously?
I do this every Saturday. Aside from that, I also play golf.
Oh, okay. So you play golf?
I'm also learning how to play the saxophone.
One day I would love to see you play saxophone. Then I'll see at least the relaxed part of Alex Goma.
When I know that I can play well enough so that they won't stone me.
Well, you always have to start from somewhere. Viewers out there, I want to believe you're enjoying this conversation. We'll be right back after this short timeout. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're still with the same person, Alex Goma, the managing director of Grand Cereal, and he's still talking to us. If I have to count the points I've picked so far, it will be like I've even finished a full episode, but we still have to continue. So now let's talk about your career. You just talked about how you started out with, you wanted to start with NBC, plant management, you ended up working at a store, and from there you left for Procter & Gamble. Take us through your career movement.
Okay.
Because today I look at it that we're talking to 2 in 1. I see you as a career professional, and I also feel that you can't get to where you are without having that element of an entrepreneur in you. So we're going to find a way to touch both at some point. But take us through your career path now.
Okay, so when it comes to entrepreneurship, I actually think that we've got to redefine it for people to understand. Because what's the difference? You are working for a company. It's either you work for a company that is owned by you,
or own my son, entrepreneuring.
And if we don't understand that, is why a lot of companies set up by individuals fail. Because they cannot separate the company from themselves. And therefore you have the right governance for you to run the organization. The company, every corporate entity is supposed to have an individuality of its own, separate from the own. That's why you set up limited...
liability, a legal company, legal entity.
The same skills that help you to succeed are the same skills that will help you to succeed in an organization, because in every organization you'll find people who are waiting to be told what to do, and there are people who will do what they think is best in the organization. What typically happens is that organizations will reward people who show leadership, who show they can solve problems, who show that they can manage other people, they can work effectively with others, and they can generate value. So for me, I would go back to my school days, because I think that's where I would say my career really started.
Okay.
One during my internship, because I interned with the then Jos International Breweries.
Okay.
In quality control. At that time, my mind was, okay, I was going to do a quality control career, research, and all of that. Because the brewery had a fantastic pilot plan, had a fantastic library. And when I asked questions, the head of quality control would tell me, you are the student, you go look for the answer and come and tell us.
You are the student.
Yes. So you go.
We need to talk about this some more, because these days, like you said, that organization reward people that shows leadership.
Yeah.
And showing leadership is by looking for solutions. Because people come these days to their upline to say, oh, I'm doing this, I'm hooked, and what do I do next? And so I feel funny when I tell people, don't come to me with problems alone. Come with suggested solutions. That means I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You are the student, go look for the solution. I'm taking that away. Go ahead, please.
There was a particular analysis we used to do, and I query, because if you follow the theory, okay, you put your sugar, you put your yeast, it converts to alcohol. But we always used to analyze for lactic acid. I said, why do we do that? Because it shouldn't happen. And he said, well, it doesn't know, but you're the student, go look for the solution. The library, I found it in one small paragraph in one of the books that you can have a yeast infection. So that's why you actually do that. And I came back and I showed him. He said, okay, that's fantastic. So I think that stimulated for me, always asking questions, always trying to find an answer and looking for a source. Now, when I went to serve, I served in a brewery as well.
Okay.
Eastern Breweries, bottlers of 3-3 in our mama.
Okay.
And when I got in there, I saw some things that they were not doing, and I said, look, there are certain analysis I think you guys should be doing, you're not doing here. And again, at the first instance, they said, no, what do you know?
You're a youth corps member, so.
So 2 months into my service here, they got sent samples from Sona breweries to analyze, and nobody could do the analysis. The supervisor remembered it. This youth copper has told us about this. So they came, they asked me, can you do this? Yeah, why not? So we went, got the equipment, and we started. So from that period, I wasn't like a copper, because I worked as a full-time worker. I ran shifts, did everything. So by the time I was leaving,
Did any reviewed compensation come with that?
No, of course, 3-3 paid us extra as a result of that.
Okay.
I also think, but it's part of the lessons you get. 2 months to when I was going to leave, one morning I woke up, I saw an advert in the newspaper. One of the guys brought it to me and said, the job you were doing, because it was exactly the role description, right, has been advertised. So why don't you apply?
Okay, so, hold on a minute. The same company, right?
Yes.
Advertised that role, and they are aware you've been doing it.
Yes.
So ordinarily, you feel they should just approach you and ask you if you want to pick up that or not, as against having to. I'm just thinking aloud.
Yes, that's what you would think normally, and I also thought the same way. And I think the catch for me was they put 3 years experience.
Oh, okay.
So I refused to
apply.
Right now. The test for that job, I set the questions, and I set the answers for the job, this thing. But I could understand them, because like I said, you learn some things. After that experience where I had to do those analysis for them that came from outside, anytime the plant controller came to the lab to ask for anything, he would come to me, not the head of quality control.
Wow.
And if he wanted something, he would speak to me. So I sort of felt that, okay, somebody felt that this young man was
already,
and I said it, I told the head of admin and the head of quality, because when they were reviewing because like I said the questions, I gave them the
answers and all of that.
And when they were marking, and he said, oh, this is the young man that will have taken this job, and he refused to apply. So I told the guy, I said, no, if you wanted me to get this job, you will not have put 3 years experience. By putting that, you've told me that you don't want me. That's why I didn't apply. So, but I left at least understanding what work ethic was, understanding what it meant to say what you feel,
express yourself.
During my service year, there was a day I walked into the brewery wearing a half t-shirt. Now, 3-3 produces 3-3. Why it was deliberate.
Okay.
When I came in, everybody looked and said, why? I said, no, I've been working here as a copper, you have not given me this. I want this in a bias. So if you want me to do it, they went to bring 6 glasses, 6 t-shirts, key rings, not just for me.
Challenging the status quo.
For all the coppers. So
interesting.
I put t-shirts there in the Yes, I had.
Interesting.
So
Wow.
you've got to
Just go the extra mile.
you've got to go there. So that's why I said it started. Some of the lessons I picked started from my NYC.
I see.
And so when I left service, didn't have a job for a while, but I went to teach part-time. And I chose...
Now I can connect the dots because you still teach now.
Yes.
There's still something you love that you're still doing now.
I went to teach for two reasons. One, I said, by teaching, because if you want to teach well, you've got to prepare. So it will keep me reading. And I have to keep on reading because for me to get a job, my mindset was that no one will give me a job. I didn't need connections. I didn't want connections.
So if I get you correctly, going into teaching then was actually to prepare you for the job you're looking for. Viewers, I hope you're catching this. It's here to get into the career journey. We're still going to get into that very, very soon. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back. He just explained something to us, picking up a teaching job just to ensure that he's ready at any point in time that job opportunity will come knocking. I don't know how many of us will always think about something like that when we won't take any action now. We'll go back to Alex, and we're still having our discussions with him, and I want to believe he will shed more light in some other areas. Enjoy the rest of the show. All right, so we're still talking your career.
So, like I said, I took it because I wanted to be prepared. It was also part-time, so I had limited times to be occupied. So if I had an opportunity for an interview,
You can quickly just show up.
and then I could earn money. I mean, I had money in my pocket. Then my needs were very simple. I used to go to the stadium every weekend, Nigeria, so I must have money to pay for my ticket.
To watch football or
It
something?
was just, and then money for me to go for my interviews. And then I used to go to the library then. I couldn't afford to buy papers all the time. So you didn't have the internet. So I went to the library 3 times a week, collect all the newspapers, look at all the vacancies,
Wow.
and apply.
Wow.
And posted them to Lagos, and that's how I got the job.
Wow. You go to the library 3 times a week,
Yes.
gather together the papers for...
Look at
Wow.
the adverts that were
Wow.
interesting to me, send applications, and then
Using the postal system
in
then.
the postal system. We didn't have the internet.
I can imagine.
And it was because of the postal system, like I said, I lost the...
Even the OAU, whatever.
Yes, because the letter, I got to the post office on a Saturday to check, because I usually do 3 alternating days, and the interview was to have been on Friday
Wow.
in Kano.
Wow.
So I still went to Kano on Monday. They said the panel came from Lagos.
And they've left already.
So I did that, and then I got a job with bottling company in Jos, Highland Bottling Company.
Okay.
In quality control. All right. Again, I went there trying to look for a job. It's one of these where you said you just go throw your things around, and they said, oh, they're interviewing. They were going to write a test in a couple of days' time. So I wrote the test. I was successful, and I was hired. So I started in quality control.
Okay.
But I was still, it was a state-owned enterprise, and I was still clear in my mind that that was not where
You looking at.
So I kept on applying. I kept on applying. And then I went through the process with Leventis Group. So
Okay.
the first test, I was invited for Nigerian Bottling Company. It didn't work out. And then I was later invited to do another test for Leventis stores.
Okay.
And that's how I ended up in Leventis stores.
And that's where you commenced fully.
So that's
What you
I would
say, okay, this is
Leventis
career
stores
journey.
was now where I moved from quality control into sales, because I was now
That was the cutoff point.
Yes, that was the cutoff point. I was hired as a trainee sales manager for stores. I was moved to Ikeja. I spent 6 months. To Apapa. I spent 6 months in Apapa. I was transferred to Ikeja. Then there was a rating system for the stores.
Okay.
There was a league system. Ikeja was in the bottom 3 out of the 22 stores we had nationally. Within 2 months, we were in the top 4.
How?
Doing some simple things.
Like, share knowledge, please.
Look, Some things are not so complex. Right? Okay, for us to sell, for example, there's certain we needed to have the right goods in stock.
Yeah.
So I used to go through the inventory records. I saw that okay, there were lots of times where we were out of stock of things. So I would always go to the central warehouse, then in Apapa, check what they had, and then make sure we had our own fair share of allocation before it went to others. In fact, in certain instances, because I was there physically, something they then marked to go to another store.
You move it to your...
We would be able to. Then simple things like managing customers, dealing with complaints. You know, when I got there, there was a customer who bought a fridge for 2 months, a deep freezer. And the customer came to complain, and every time it was come today, come tomorrow. So when they came, I just came and I said, why? What's this problem? No, it shouldn't. I just called the driver, called one of the technicians, go with him to
And fix this problem.
find out what it is. It was just a tiny setting. And they did the setting within 4 hours. But because we did that, the next day, somebody wanted to buy a sound system. That customer brought him to the store. He said, look, I know that if anything happens,
They'll fix it.
for me.
Wow.
So simple things like that helped us to do things. I changed the way we display. We used to hide things in cartons. Send on display, pull them out. You know, TVs, different types, put them out, use the video sender, send videos to show people that
The quality.
the quality. We used to sell one of the locally assembled TVs. Incidentally, your name, Debo TV.
Adebayo Electronics.
People thought it wasn't so, but by using the sender, you're sending the same video, you can actually see the quality of the picture. And we sold a bit there. And one day, just after 2 months, I got a letter transferring me to my degree.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Okay. So let us look at the moment you got that letter.
Yeah.
What came up in your mind that living Lagos? Yes, you're from Plateau State, Maiduguri, yeah, but for me, one extreme to another extreme.
Like I said, there are some things they are my personal beliefs, right? There are some things I believe happen for a reason, so I don't question. Like it's like posting is like where I serve, you know, people, okay, let's try and work out posting. I said no, I'm going to go wherever I am sent to. Right. The only thing is that I always wanted to work in a new, so I'm hoping that where I go to, they have a new. So for me, it was just because the moment I got a letter, my boss who was the store controller also got a copy, and he just barged into me and do this. What is this nonsense? What is this nonsense? Whenever something good comes to Ikeja,
They want to yank it off.
that he's going to protest it, they're going to cancel it. And I told him, sorry, sir, please don't cancel it. I'm going to go. And he says, why? I said, look. You never know, right? For me, I don't tempt the hand of fate, so I will go. So he said, are you sure you're not the one that walked this?
Because of your disposition.
Because of the way I did this. Now, 2 things happened when I got to my degree. Again, one day, one of the regional directors for Leventis Group, who was a Greek, came into the store and just screamed, what's going on here? And everybody was asking, what do you need? And he says, no, the store has changed. And the controller said, look, is this young man who came from Lagos? And so that night, he called Lagos and said, there's somebody that you're wasting. And they transferred me back to Lagos, but promoted me to a new...
What timeline?
4 months.
4 months in between. And that handed you the promotion.
And that is it. So
You said something about personal belief.
yes. The other side, which is personal, is that whilst in that store, one day I was looking from a show glass upstairs. I saw a beautiful young lady walking around the store. So I ran downstairs to
Lagos or Maiduguri?
my degree.
Oh, okay.
Right? Found out she was a student in Unimart, maid.
And that is Mrs. Alex Goma today. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so let me take it back to your personal belief story. Because some things are just like running in my head about that, meaning you should know what your personal beliefs are, and you should test them, and you should be ready to give in to these things. I hope the viewers out there, I hope you're picking all of this. It's just pushing this information out. He just told us how he met Mrs. Alex Goma. We're going to come back after now. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. You're welcome back. Yeah, it's getting interesting. We actually started with career, and we're going to go back to that. But this personal part of his encounter while he was out there in Maiduguri, I think we have to pick some more points from there. You saw that young lady, a student that came with a shopper. Please tell us briefly about that before we get back into the career story.
So, she was going through the store. One of the guys who was working in the store, I think, apparently knows her. Incidentally, his name is also Alex. And so I walked down to him and said, he said, okay, how are you? I said, fine. I said, okay, who is this your friend? He said, this is my friend, Ruth. She's a student at uni, this and that. Oh, this is my boss. I said, okay, nice to meet you. I took the name and everything, just said hello. I went back upstairs. I think about 2 weeks or 3 weeks later again, from my show glass, because you can see the entire store, I see her walk into the store. So this time I run downstairs. Yes, remember me, Alex. This thing. One of these days, you know what? I would probably like to meet with you. And one afternoon, I just called the guys during break. I said, look, okay, do you know where this lady lives? Yes, okay, can you take me there? We entered, very cool to do. And
that was it?
That was it.
Wow.
She said no for a while. I was moved out, but I think when I moved to Lagos, I was made the stores inspector for the north, which meant that I had to visit all the stores at least once a month. And I could still come back to Maiduguri. So I came to Maiduguri. I went to look for her in a hostel. She was shocked to see me come look for her in her hostel, and then
that was
4
it.
years later we were married.
Wow, that's interesting. Career journey. So your career journey came with everything for you. All right, so you came back to Lagos and yeah, you did all of that. What lessons would you say you picked out of your journey with Leventis stores? And how did the Procter & Gamble story, how did that one get into the scope?
I think one of the lessons is that you've got to stand up for what you believe. So I think there's a key ingredient nobody talks about that everybody needs. There are three things that I think that are very critical, personal attributes that you've got to build, and they're not inborn in anybody. You learn how to develop them. One is courage.
Courage.
Right? Because there are lots of things that will tell you what you can do or cannot do. There are lots of fears that drive our choices. We've got to build a way of being able to handle our fears. You're able to do that. The second is resilience. Life is always going to be tough, right?
Life is always going to be tough.
The higher you go, the cooler it becomes, happens only in geography. So it's always going to be tough.
It happens only in geography?
Yes. We'll have to be prepared for that. The third is agility. How do you build the capacity to be flexible and therefore you can adapt without losing your core?
Adapting without losing your core.
In Leventis, we had a guy who was the head of operations, and he was very rude to people. Now, this was me in Apapa. I was a trainee sales manager, not confirmed, and I used to tell the store controller that this guy is rude. But if he comes to me with this his rudeness, I was going to give it back. And one day he was actually rude to me, and he asked me to do something. I told him, sorry, no, I won't do it. I don't take orders from him. So he was angry, went to meet the store manager and told him that, look, this guy is this. The store manager came to me, Alex, I have told you, you see this man can do this, he's second, this and that. I said, Mr. Alabi, what do you want? What do you want me to do? Because I won't do whatever, but if you tell me to do this,
I'll do it.
I will do it. So he said this, I said, okay, fine. So I went, I did it. But the moment I finished, I went to tap him. I said, Jan, can I have a chat with you? So I think that's what shocked him, because he went into the office and I told him you were rude to me and I do not like it. I'm a trainee sales manager. I cannot learn if you put me under pressure. And the way you acted, so he denied, no, I wasn't right. I said, no, you don't pay you, Mr. Man, like that. That's rude. My name is Alex. You want to call me, you call me Alex. So he said he didn't mean to do it. I said, okay, I just wanted you to know that I'm not a rude person. I only responded to your action. So the next morning, first thing in the morning, he came to me, "Hi Alex, how are you? Can I have your opinion about this?" I gave him the next day, "Can I have your opinion about this?" He was the one that instituted the transfer to Ikeja, because later he told me, when I became stores inspector, I was working directly under him.
Okay.
He said he felt, okay, this guy has balls. Let me see if he has brains to go with the balls. And that's why he was asking me those questions.
Okay. Okay.
Answered or replied. He then said, okay, let's move him to
a troubled store.
Let's see what will happen. Okay, he was doing it, okay. Let's see whether it's a fluke. That's why they sent me to Maiduguri, right? And then, because when the regional director called them to say something, he flew to Maiduguri the next day to come and see for himself. It is when he got back to Lagos, he then made a phone call and said, look, we're moving you back to...
Courage. I can see the place of courage there.
So for me, I think that sometimes we're too afraid that we're going to lose our job.
And we don't express ourselves.
Sometimes we're too safe. What I tell people, your job security is not in your contract. Your job security is in building competence and in yourself.
Your job security is in building competence and in
yourself. And you also have to learn how to communicate. Remember that when I reacted to him, I dealt with it privately. I did not attack him
openly.
Of subordinates, neither did I have a confrontation. I called him into an office and we had a conversation.
I see.
It has to be applied with wisdom.
Yes, courage must be applied with wisdom.
So I had spent about 2 years. So from there I was promoted to store manager, restaurant. Now I had my own store in Ibadan. So, but whilst I was there, I had been, you look at the entire system and I look at the guys at the top. Yeah, you had the expatriates who led from a place of clarity and character, but I could see a lot of the Nigerian factor why a lot of businesses, and I asked myself, if I look at the guys, were role models that I wanted to model myself after. I couldn't see quite a lot of people. And then I used to buy the London Economist every week because that was my education as far as business and other things were concerned. And then I saw this advert by P&G. They wanted to come into Nigeria. I wrote the application, and I kept it.
Okay, you didn't send it?
I didn't send it. I said I had just joined Levante, so why was I leaving? But a year later, I saw the same advert this time in Guardian because they had started in Nigeria, and I said why not, and I sent it. Now, when I got through the process, they offered me a job as a sales rep. Now, I was already a branch manager in Levante.
And now a sales rep.
But they only recruit at entry level. And also, they offered me...
That means they have a strong succession planning on ground.
And I had to take, the salary they offered me was 15% less than what I was getting.
Interesting.
So I had a dilemma. Should I not? And I asked myself, why was I leaving? Now, I knew from all I had read, Procter & Gamble was known for a lot of things that you do in business today.
Yeah.
Concept of brand management, concept of efficient supply chain. These are things that were developed that have become the Bible of So I said, look, if I couldn't take a risk, right, with them, and at that time I was 24, 25, and I said, look, there are some people your age who are 24, 25 are still in university. So just assume you are in final year. If it doesn't
still trying to learn.
Yes. If it doesn't work, then just assume you went for 1 year NYC, you find something else. So I bit the bullet, I resigned. Already in Levantes, I had a company house in the GRA, I had a generator, I had a gardener, I had all of these things. I dropped them and I went to start as a sales rep with a Bedford D40 truck.
D40. Wow.
But that's one of the biggest decisions I ever made. Because whatever is the foundation of my business or professional career
today,
P&G.
It's P&G.
Yes. the foundation of everything that I know today is P&G.
Viewers out there, you just picked that. You just go to the foundation points of his career progression. We're still going to come back to this. All right, you're welcome back, and I'm still with the same person, Alex, and he's been giving us insights to a whole lot of things, that we cannot buy or learn from any school. Thank you very much, Alex, for that. I will want to fast forward to the present. We are talking about now your stay with Grand Cereal. So what is it like? What's your average day like? And like you told me before, okay, so you spend most of your time out there in Jos, and sometimes you come to Lagos. I heard some tractors moving around. I want to believe that's part of work going on. All right, so what is Grand Cereal like for you now? What's your average day like? And we take it up from there.
I think Grand Cereals is a nutrition company owned by UAC. We pride ourselves as being the home of well-being and nutrition.
The home of well-being and nutrition.
We do this two ways, either by food products that we produce,
Okay.
or by products that we produce that feed animals that we refer to humans. So we do animal feed as well as
Human food or something kind of.
We have a main factory based in Jos as well as a factory in Onitsha.
Okay.
But we have people all around the country. So a typical day for me, I'm an early person, so I wake up quite early. I'm up by 5. 6 I'm out of the house to either take a walk or ride a bicycle during the day.
Okay.
Weekdays for about 45-50 minutes, and then I always aim to be at the office around 7:30.
Okay.
Allows me time to get in, see some of the things, go through emails, and then have just a simple maybe hello with some of the guys in
the office,
and then look at what I have to go through, the balance of the day, whether there are meetings that I have, or sometimes depending on the plant where I am, I will do a walk around the factory just to see what people are doing and just have a chat with people around their work stations. So we're trying to stabilize the business and then put in plans for a lot of growth, because we believe that there's a huge opportunity in Nigeria.
Okay.
In food space, we're 200+ million mouths to feed.
You're right.
That's a lot of mouths to feed.
You're right.
We put the right structure. So we're putting plans for how we will be able to do that. Of course, supported by the parent company and the board. So the day differs depending on the day of the week. There are weeks where we have leadership meetings where we have to go through it. And then I also try to spend some time out in the field as well. So,
To check what's going on.
Just
That's a marketplace kind of activities.
But it's also an opportunity to coach, because I think that when you distance yourself from the rest of the people down the road, you've got to help them understand that leadership is accessible. Right? I keep an open door policy. So long as I don't have a meeting in my diary or whatever, you can easily hop in. If it's something that an individual has, it's better to give the person ears. If I'm not doing something that is urgent and I'm time bound, I will give you attention.
I see.
I will just allow the person.
So that is what your average day looks like. Okay, so you were talking the other time, you mentioned something about the fact that most of your direct downlines before are now like directors, MDs. It means that somehow you would have been able to provide them with leadership.
Yes.
So what are your views when it comes to leadership?
I think for me, first of all, leadership is responsibility, and leadership is not a reward. So I think we've got to get out this I have arrived mindset. I suffered, so
I'm here.
So it is now my time to enjoy.
I see.
So which is what happens, and that's why people in leadership positions who have that wrong notion tend to arrogate pecs and whatever. No, leadership is tough. right? Taking decisions and responsibility for people. The perks are to help you mitigate the toughness of the environment. They're not rewards for you to do that. The best definition of leadership I've come across that I like and I use most often is by Stephen Covey.
Okay.
Leadership is producing results in a manner that inspires trust.
Producing results in a manner that inspires trust. You want to say something about that?
And there are two components to trust when you break down trust. There's competence and there's character.
Competence and character.
So when I look at Nigeria today and I say, okay, if I look at industry 30 years ago, we went through a period where most of the directors or leadership of companies were expatriates and we've just gone through a transition to Nigerians. If you fast forward 30 years later, most of these things have gone back to expatriates. And the question I ask is it because we're incompetent? I don't think so. I think we have played less on the character side because we now bring all the nuances. Okay, when you are the boss, people expect that anybody should get hired. Tell people, sorry, no, that you know me doesn't mean that you get hired. I will bring your CV.
We'll look at it.
Go through the process. The hiring manager is the one who has the decision. You don't pass the process, you don't get it. Right? You want to do business, not a problem. Bring him, come and register your company. Right? And then you bid for the job that you want.
And if you're qualified, if you're suitable,
for it and you offer the right
due process, corporate governance.
You will get it. If you don't qualify, you won't
Get it.
One of the companies that provided a service for us, we have to ask after 3 months of doing the service. I knew them. They worked for us in a previous company. They did well here. When they came there before, when they came here, they didn't do well. Right? The MD called me. I said, sorry, guy. No, your guys didn't do well. He sent a lot of reminders. They didn't work well. The person responsible has taken a call, and he's taking the right call. I will be undermining his authority if I go and say, you know what, reverse this because I know you and
So that is leadership for you.
It's tough. So some people will like it, some people will not like it. You know, it's like when somebody becomes a governor, everybody says our turn. I say, okay, what turn? Do they actually now go to their village and share for everybody? So that's what I think. I think as a leader, you've got a responsibility to prepare the next generation. Because if you don't, what we should be talking about is the quality of the people coming behind us should be better than
us. You're right.
Don't be afraid that younger people, smarter with technology in their hands, why should we be afraid that they're smarter than us? No, we should build them to be better than us. So we shouldn't be saying, no, it took me 20 years
to get here.
Therefore, it must take them 20 years.
No.
By all means, if the guy shows that he has the capacity to,
so let him do it.
Let him.
I see.
So
I see.
That's the way I think. So I think that leaders have the responsibility to share a long-term view of what is possible. So people have to see a vision of what is possible. Leaders have to enable people to do it. When I see leaders say all that matters is the result, I see an application of responsibility. Because you've got to create the enabling environment. Which means you've got to be interested in how the results are delivered. You've got to energize them. Things will be tough. It's not every time. Right? That
this come easy.
This thing. And then most of all, you've got to follow in execution. Things have to be broken down. You can't take things for granted. And you've got to find a balance between your head and your heart. It's not always going to be easy. The toughest decision for me to take is to fire somebody.
The toughest is to fire someone.
Yeah, because
why would you say that?
Why? Because the person has responsibility. The person, if you look at the environment that we have today, people have responsibility. But the only way I balance that is to also look at the fact that I have 1,300 employees. If I don't fire these guys, I'm putting 1,200
jeopardy.
Their families in jeopardy. So I make the call, but it doesn't mean it's an easy call. So I won't run away from the call, right? But I recognize it's painful because I know that even for the individual. So in doing that, I have to manage it in such a way that it helps the person understand that you don't give up. Maybe this is not the place.
The right place for you.
You can find somewhere else where you can get something done.
Wow. Wow. I think I also need to listen to you over and over again after now. Okay, so in trying to wrap up today, I've seen several mentions of you in the newspapers. I mean, yeah, online news or whatever about. You talk so much about sports. What is that about?
I think it's enjoyment, entertainment is what I do to relax, right?
Okay.
I also feel that there's a side to entertainment that can be, that can be developed business-wise. But like I said, I play football regularly. Arsenal, Nigeria, we've always gone to play in a competition in the UK since 2007 called the World Net. It's a competition for football fans aged 30 and above. We've won it twice, we've been run out a number of times. So you will find that I'm an ardent supporter of Plateau United and Arsenal. Right? I believe that when God created the world, He created football.
Oh, okay.
He showed Arsenal how to play football. How to play it the way God wants it.
The way God wants it, not the way others want it.
We've gone through rough patches, tough patches, and I know people will give a lot of stick, but it's part of banter. Life can be very serious.
So if
Find ways to relax,
Yeah.
to ease pressure. But I also believe there's a business part. I've spoken in a number of fora before on how to organize football as a business, because I believe the potential is there
Okay.
for us to turn it into a money spinner and job creator in this country. We just do not have the right people, we do not have the right principles, and we are not yet ready to take the right tough decisions to help our football and our sports school.
So anytime I get to see any news mention, especially talking sports, you're just doing that out of your time of relaxation.
Relaxation and the fact that I believe that there's an opportunity we can turn this into something that will help.
That is good to hear. That is good to hear. Viewers out there, you heard it all. It's not every time you see me run from one corner to the other with my guest on the show. Today, we sit in his office, we start the show here, we end the show here. But before I leave, there is my signature board, which I will get him to help sign. I have this signature board that anyone I feature on this show, we have to look at and help append a signature. We're looking at having a platform that can bring people together and people can still learn. You can read what we have there and help append your signature there. And the date, please.
So it's 25th, right?
Yes, I think so. Great. It's good to have you on the show today. And viewers, we just got to the end of the show today. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope you're able to catch as many points as possible. Till the next time we meet, stay blessed.